You're live. I was in Florida.
Excuse me. This is Thursday, March 12th. This is the Senate Transportation Committee, and we are starting with the tax department. And we are talking about local option taxes again. And we should have some information about what towns did.
Absolutely. If you're all ready.
What?
Hello. For the record, I'm Rebecca Samrock, Deputy Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Taxes. And just before coming over here, we sent a table that holds the summary voting results from town meeting day. Which I have printed out here. I don't know if it's been posted yet, but happy to just talk through those too. But
it has been.
Great, awesome. So we can review those, and then I understand there were kind of questions about the department's kind of next steps on
Yes, you have I think the ability to do no more than 5 at a time, and but you've never used that, so there's whole questions about what's your capacity, because I think, not looking at the list, but I think we're aware there's more than 10.
Yeah.
So if you could start in and start.
Yeah, so yeah, more than 10 of the grand total this town meeting day was 14. That also includes the kind of more unique Stowe vote at a percentage of their local option tax. And it's like really good timing for this testimony, because we actually spent a lot of time over the last week just discussing internally what the strategy will be here. And it certainly is a lot to administer all at once, but over the course of our implementation discussions the last week, we decided as a team to go forward with implementing them all at once for a July 1st, 2026 effective date for the towns. This is just what works best for us this year. It'll be a learning experience for us for sure. But mostly it's just about the work that we have ahead of us this year. It's a bit of a unique one for us, because we are going to be doing a major update to our integrated tax system, the VTax tax system. This is kind of like, equivalent from, like going from Windows 11 to Windows 12. Never had done a Windows update in a while, but it's like
16.
yeah. So something that like will seem kind of from the user's perspective like might not have as many visible changes, although there are actually going to be some great improvements with this upgrade. But part of this upgrade is fully replacing the programming code that underlies the whole system. So it's actually a really, really big deal. And when we do updates like this, or any kind of development work in the system, it requires a ton of testing from our staff. So to give a little flavor of the discussion, like part of the decision here is we have this major, implementation in our system that'll be happening this calendar year. So like getting all these launched for July 1st and really like letting the teams focus on, the work that I discussed with this committee last month, like all the, hand holding for businesses that are like struggling to figure things out at first, all the corrections that often happen in the first couple of months. And then, all the pre-work, like the communication, the program, the form design, the development work in the system, just kind of like getting that all tackled at once, like a bit of like a ripping Band-Aid strategy will allow the team to shift focus to the rest of our upgrade and other legislative implementations for the rest of the calendar year.
And I just have one question.
No, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one of the things that we talked about the last time you were here was that geofencing with online purchases, and if they have, with the Wayfair decision, kind of where businesses fall and where the purchases are. What is the combination for local option tax that they would have had to have passed to fall into the Wayfair decisions? Because if they just did rooms, they're not a part of it. If they did sales, they are. And if they did alcohol, I guess it could go. I guess I'm just wondering, of the towns that you have on your list, which ones are now also capturing online sales? And is it just the sales, or could technically, like, I don't know, we have some alcohol distributors, I think. I don't know how that works.
Right, yeah, so great, so yeah, so like, the Wayfair decision, and, like, we're kind of talking about like the large e-commerce platforms and also e-commerce marketplaces specifically with that one, so, that like is real, like the real nexus with local option tax there is when a town votes to enact a sales local option tax, which means that, all the,
Well, yes, but, if you are, an Airbnb or Vrbo, there, for example, the town of Fletcher, which is right next to us, that has mailing addresses that are Cambridge. Half of the town of Fletcher has a mailing address that's Cambridge. If they enacted a local option tax, I would think that if the house sits in Fletcher, that you would pay, and because they're close enough to a skier. What happens with those communities?
yeah, so we're talking about just like broader e-commerce issues for
Yep.
sure. Yeah, Wayfair was more about the sales tax space and like
Okay.
marketplace platforms, but like I think, this, broadly speaking, I think like the biggest there's probably about like 3 times as much work being done at the Department on Local Option Tax Administration as there was just like when I started 10 years ago, and e-commerce is like certainly the cause. It's just new e-commerce vendors are coming online all the time, and then we have like, the big short-term rental platforms, the big online marketplaces who are always going to be navigating this very imperfect system that we, use in this country for identifying like where a place is in space. So, this is, you're just like touching on exactly like where like the heft of our compliance efforts are. But there are, as we talked about in committee, like, it is absolutely those vendors' responsibility to be collecting and remitting tax appropriately based on the location, the address location of where a purchase is being made. For the case of a short-term rental platform, that's like, where is the host renting that room, and they don't always get it right the first time. So that's like in the first, the first month of a new local option tax, we're doing a ton of work with the vendor to clean that up, and they have, we make the tools available for them, and they, many of these, especially like big e-commerce platforms or like the big short-term rental platforms, I assume have like this third party software integrated where, it's kind of handling the tax stuff for them. So often we're, working with a company and then going on to work with their contractor to make sure they're doing it right. Flagging issues and holding them accountable for it, through our compliance tools when it's, not meeting expectations, to just be, flagging and letting them know when there's issues. So, that's really like a big heft of the work that we do in this space. And you're absolutely right. It's, it's in the rooms space for the big online short-term rental platforms, and it's in the sales space for the big and small e-commerce vendors.
It's interesting, the only community was in my district in West Windsor where they voted no on the sales, but yes on meals and rooms. I was surprised by that. It's an intriguing, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of online businesses and that was a motivation, but I also think they have a small general store that they didn't want to have taxes placed on them, but yeah, so it seems like with every new one of these towns, except for the not applicable ones, you basically are going to have to do a ton of back end work to properly connect them. So
yeah,
for describing it, that's
I mean, it's a ton of work, but it's work that, we're very familiar with and, feel confident in. So that's
So
good.
you think I think you said this, that you think you can do all of this,
Yeah.
even though you can limit it to whatever, 3 or.
Yeah, I mean, that limit, it's not just like, at a whim, it really has to, I think the statute's written pretty clearly that it has to like really pose an administrative challenge for us. And, our internal conversations, we determined it would actually be more of an administrative challenge to try to phase it out. Like we really just want to, focus on this.
'Cause this is the most ever.
Yeah, but twice as many as last year, which I think had been a record.
How many
year.
total?
So now total, I think there were 39 before.
It's almost like a 50% increase or 30% increase.
Yeah, there are 38 municipalities that have already enacted, and then an additional, 13 to 14, depending on, what the General Assembly decides to do with the Stowe vote.
Right.
So that, that's we're getting up to about 20% of Vermont municipalities that have a local option tax of some sort.
Interesting. So on the alcohol, we can get alcohol shipped Vermont, or can we not? I can't remember the rule on that. I remember
Yeah, I
there
think
was something
It's a
about.
great
wine.
question for Wendy Knight, but this for
Alcohol,
meals and
just-
alcohol.
Just like on premise.
Exactly. This
Oh.
is like, what you're having with your meal at a bar,
Right.
consuming on premise. I mean, it's not always at, in a formal restaurant or bar setting, it's, on premises is
So
really.
it's not a brewery, like if Long Trail and Bridgewater, like if
It could
Bridgewater.
be a
had-
brewery,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if
So
they
it-
were shipping their beer to Canada, or I don't know, another
It's
state.
more like if you, well, not you, but
No,
if I was,
If you were to,
if I was to get a bottle of wine purchased online and shipped to my address, I wouldn't pay an extra.
No, there'd be sales tax on that. And then there would be, there'd be sales tax on that.
Not, but
Yeah.
But if I bought the bottle of wine at the AO2 store there, I would pay the. extra.
You would pay sales tax on that too. So it's like the way, sorry, I should back up a little bit. So,
But is there an extra sales tax and extra excess tax?
yeah, so like when you go to the liquor store, there is there's, the tax that, I know about from my tax department chair is there's a sales tax on everything you buy there. There's also like a spirits tax
Yeah.
that's administered by DLL.
Right,
So that's also charged on that.
but I would pay that if I got it through the mail.
I'm not sure about that, honestly.
I could
That's
ask.
another great question for Wendy.
And when you buy a drink in the restaurant, on top of that, there's the rooms and meals tax.
well, that's what we're trying to figure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we went around with Wendy, or the commissioner on that in appropriations, like you pay it twice, because when the bar buys the alcohol, they're off the paying the tax.
Yeah, well, that's like the malt and vinous beverage tax is a gallonage tax.
Yeah.
That's paid at the distributor level.
Right.
So that's like, it's like a little upstream from the consumer,
Right.
but those
But
costs
you're
are
right,
right.
when your bill
Baked
for
in.
the drink.
By the time you
11%
get your
off.
drink, it's around 45%, 46%.
Wow.
But we don't need to, but I just wondered about the mail, and then also, would it be the same for tobacco products that you can get through the mail? Because there's a tax, we have a state tax on tobacco products. I assume that the online would have to make sure they're adding that.
I wish my personal consumption practices were like serving me better here. I was like, yes, that's through the mail. Yeah. So I mean, anything that the sales tax is applied to, which, would include like ordering wine through the mail or something, if your town has a local option sales tax, you're gonna get an extra 1% on those.
Right, yeah, no, I was wondering about
yeah.
that, the spirits, the specialty tax that we have for alcohol.
Mhm. Yeah, so when like where sales tax is applicable, it would matter, but there's these local option taxes are focused, they're like the state sales and use tax, state meals, rooms and alcohol tax.
Doesn't really deal with what we're talking about today.
Right.
I'll talk to the commissioner of liquor and moderate stuff.
Yeah, I should learn more about these things too. It'll be great. Good coffee conversation with Wendy soon.
Yes.
Has the department done any estimate on what all of this would raise?
Yeah, that's actually ongoing, like as we speak between our analysts and yours at JFO. I think they're coming to consensus figures of what, the estimate
And
is for.
when do we think that those figures we might be able to expect?
I assume shortly, like if not by the end of this week, early next week. But I think JFO would be a great resource to ask about when you guys will have those
I
handy.
just want the two towns that are, one that's in this district, but kind of my area.
Yeah.
Stowe and then Morristown. Jeff Carr did an estimate for them ahead of time. And so theirs was 1.2 million. And Stowe is 3.5. So it would be interesting to see what. And do we expect all of them online July 1st?
Right. So that'll be like a full year of enactment, but 11 months of revenue generation because you miss like businesses file on the 25th day of the month after the tax period closes. So, a full year of implementation will be 11 months of revenue. for these folks.
We will get 11 payments within
Fiscal 27.
yeah, fiscal 27.
Right. That includes the new local option tax now. That's right. And yeah, that we have often have towns using our just like a publicly available online statistics about sales, meals, rooms by town to, you know, kind of do their own estimates when they're considering these things. The department helps towns often, you know, really hone those in, reviews them with them. And I think JFO and tax analysts are kind of just doing that exercise en masse for the new local option tax towns right now.
This is helpful.
Great. Yeah, are any other questions I can help with?
Okay,
I mean,
are we done?
I guess I could, I mean,
Go ahead.
a totally
You got
different.
10 more,
Okay,
for
yeah,
9
totally
more
different
minutes.
local option tax question.
Sure.
So there has been a conversation on the house transportation side about potentially having a local gas tax rather than, so different realm. But I'm wondering, I haven't actually, I don't think we heard testimony. I think you did go to the house, maybe you talked about, or someone from the tax department provided
I did.
information. Do you mind just giving the high level? It sounded like there was a lot of barriers.
Yeah, I mean, like from my seat, yeah, there are a number of barriers, like the most compelling to me being that, like, you know, the tax department doesn't administer the gas tax
Yes.
right now. It's also not a tax that's paid between like it's not like we pay it as consumers when we're at the pump. It's paid between the retailer and the distributor. So there's not like a, you know, a taxable event to tack a 1% local option tax or a, you know, any type of local option tax too. So like, so I bring up my first point because, like, you know, we at the tax department are really good at administering local option tax. So it seems like if there was going to be a new one, it would be nice to have it folded into our, you know, our world, to our administrative machine that, you know, exists here. Whereas, you know, DMV would be doing this for the first time and have to kind of set up a novel system. And then that second point is, like, there isn't actually a taxable event that happens at the pump
Yes.
that DMV is even touching. So, you know, it'd be really like kind of like creating a brand new taxable event, tax type to get that
And do
local
you,
option tax money.
when let's say I'm at the mobile station at the top of the hill in Wilder, Vermont, I purchased from a distributor, my distributor, and there's only like 3 state distributors technically. Like, there's only a few depots that they actually are purchasing from. So you only work with like a very small number of people or companies essentially to do it. So
In this example, are you a driver or are you a gas station?
I'm a gas
operator?
station
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so I don't like if I'm the mobile station, I don't pay when I get a delivery, that tax. It's the depot that pays before the delivery
I
comes.
believe that the retailer pays the tax to the dealer who then
Okay.
remits it to the state. However, I'm speaking about a tax type that I would administer, so I apologize. It's put a little asterisk on
Okay.
that, but
I just remember the Affordable Heat Act, the whole debate was, well, who's actually paying it? And it turns out it was like 3 companies are really like the
Interesting.
exchanger of the system. And we have one depot in New Hampshire that basically serves, my understanding, most of us.
But yeah, that'd be my understanding that the wholesaler is the one collecting from, you know, the gas stations and then remitting to the state. So
So they could give you like the list of people, like the list of stations that they serve, and if they're in those towns.
So that would be like you're thinking about like a local option tax that the gas station themselves would be the ones like paying.
Collecting.
Yeah. They would have to, it would be the distributor would have to either pay it specific, yeah. It's possible, but I understand your explanation of.
Because the gas stations. Seems like almost all of them now have things they're selling, so they're collecting a sales tax. They would have to just add it to the gas, which maybe sounds easy, but it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, gas is explicitly exempt from the state sales tax just to avoid
Yeah.
having a bunch of taxation on the same product, you know.
could you just change it so that you would allow municipalities to charge a sales tax on gas? Is that allowed?
I mean, it's not allowed under current law, no.
But if we could change the law and that could be one way to do it? Or like, is that something the state is allowed to do I don't think we are legally allowed to charge sales tax on gas for some reason.
By federal.
Yeah, I know. Is it us or is it the Fed?
That's a really good question that I'm not sure about. I know that it's like, you know, certainly explicitly exempted, you know, in our statute from laws that you all, you know, create and maintain and have control over. And I'm not sure if there's other federal prohibitions above that.
I know that this committee is probably unlikely to want to have further conversation on this one, but I did want to ask, so thank you.
Yeah, great question.
If it comes over from the house, we'll have to deal.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add at this point?
No, that was great. Great questions, and I'm just excited about the timing of actually having an implemented answer for you when you had the question.
Perfect.
Yeah, great.
And this is very helpful. And
Awesome.
I think that gives you 4 minutes to get to your.
Get upstairs. Yeah, great. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye now.
Someone texted me alcohol. Answer.
Oh,
You might as well move. Right, Candace,
I mean, I'm happy to chair, for the record.
as soon as Logan comes, he's gonna join you.
Okay, it's just that I didn't have anything prepared.
Oh.
but you're always.
I didn't know.
I think it was expected that Logan would lead. This is, there's a lot of conversation in here, and every once in a while, the tip on fund comes up. So the way it works is really what people are interested in getting an update.
Would you like me to sit with Logan or just?
Yeah, why don't you move up there, and as soon as Logan gets here, we'll get started.
It looks like he's on 9:45, so I don't know, maybe we need to.
It is 9:45.
Oh,
So maybe he's available.
I just sent him a note.
Okay, sorry, we're moving quicker. I thought it was 9:30.
I did too.
What answer did you get?
Go ahead.
A quick note, Mr. Chair, for the record, Sarah Mirabon, Principal Assistant with the Department of Taxes. I just conferred with Department of Liquor and Lottery. There are no legal sales of tobacco by mail.
Okay,
So none of them would be subject.
There are no what?
There,
Legal sales
no
of
legal
tobacco.
sales of tobacco by mail.
So that's part of the problem that people do it illegal.
Correct, yes, but none of that would be subject to
Okay.
sales tax local option because it's illegal.
Get alcohol.
Alcohol, let me confirm.
I don't think you can buy hard alcohol, can you?
I don't even, I remember one time we couldn't buy wine because my father-in-law wanted to send us a case of wine. He said, well, you're not gonna get it, it's just Vermont, but I thought we changed.
can we go
did.
offline and we'll pick back up in